my loyal subjects, it is indeed true that I have become an old man. Is it not true, those of us who have lived long and eventful lives, too oft, in those moments of quiet reflection, look back upon the events of the past? Indeed, day by day we may reflect that this is the anniversary of such and such, or that is the anniversary of so-and-so. And we do think about events of long ago, and we reflect. But, in truth, my loyal subjects, the causation of this, my present state of melancholy, is not an event of great past. It is indeed an event of recent making, for it was upon the 19th of July, this coming weekend, that we do mark the anniversary of the sinking of the Mary Rose. A most calamitous event, an event which I indeed had the grave misfortune to witness. For whilst England was again under attack by the French, and a great French navy had sailed about the Isle of Wight and had entered Solent water, it was my great ship, my flagship, the Mary Rose, that did lead the counter-attack. And I, your king, standing atop of the recently completed castle at Southsea, did observe that great ship disappear beneath the waves. When I, your king, did ascend to the throne of England in the year of 1509, upon my death of my father, King Henry VIII of that name, I did inherit many great things, although, in truth, I did not inherit a navy. Indeed, in the near 100 years or so prior to my becoming king, there had been scarce but 6 ships built for the defence of England. Indeed, when I did become king, there were naught but 2 ships I did inherit. And these were not ships, as you may imagine. They were naught but floating gun platforms, hard to maneuver, barely effective. And so, as I did observe that England would again fall victim to the designs of the French, I did set about the construction of ships. Becoming king in 1509, by 1510, the order had been given for the building of a great ship, the keel of which was laid down at Portsmouth in that year of 1510, a ship that was to be named the Mary Rose. She was a carrack-type ship. She is one of the earliest examples of a purpose-built ship of war. At the time of her building, she was to amass some 500 tons. An immense ship, capable of taking a crew of several hundred, laid down at Portsmouth, where she was launched in the year of 1511, having taken some 600 mature oak trees growing on an area some 40 acres or so in size. The hull was towed to the Thames, where, in the environs of Deptford, the ship was fitted out, and thence to the Tower, where she did receive her armaments. Now, I'm told that in your time, 'tis oft believed that the ship was named Mary Rose, Mary, for my most favourite of sisters, the Princess Mary, who did become the Queen of France, the Dowager Queen of France, and thence the Duchess of Suffolk, and Rose for the Tudor Rose. This, I have to tell you, is not true. Although it is a delightful story, it was our custom to name our ships for religious personages and thereby secure the protection of that ship from those personages above. Mary Rose was named for the Virgin Mary. The Rose, the mystic rose, for which Mary was associated. What further proof do you need? When I did give orders for the laying down of the keel of the Mary Rose, I did also give orders for the laying down of a slightly smaller vessel, the Peter Pomegranate. Peter for St. Peter, pomegranates for that emblem of my then wife, Catherine of Aragon. These two great ships, which were the first in a whole navy of ships by the time of 1520, I had built sufficient ships to name it the Navy Royal. In your time, the Royal Navy. A great flotilla of ships of particular design that were capable of securing England's most dangerous southern border. The Mary Rose did give good service for nigh on 33 years. At times she was indeed laid up and kept in ordinary, but she did play a significant part in those conflicts we have called the French Wars. The First, Second, and the Third French Wars that extend forward from the year of 1512. This great ship, the Carrack, of some 500 tons, was, in that year of 1536, refit. But before I do discuss the refitting of the Mary Rose, perhaps I should paint a picture in your mind's eye of the magnitude of this great vessel. Imagine a ship that at the stern has a tall castle, at the prow has a tall castle, between the middle deck, beneath 3 gun decks. Each of those decks equipped with cannon. The ship capable of taking nearly 100 pieces of ordnance. And we have cut into the sides of the vessel those apertures, gun ports, from which the cannon may be pulled forth and may fire what you now know to be a broadside. This type of ship is of English design, in other times may come to be called or termed a galleon or such like, but these ships are English in invention. Aye, we, unlike the French and the Spanish, we do not require galleys with those poor fellows heaving of oars. We are a seafaring nation. We sit in the midst of the sea, and we do control the element of the wind. This great vessel, first of 500 tons, was indeed refit in 1536 with an additional 4th gun deck on each side, port or starboard of this great vessel. It would bristle with cannon. And on that fateful day, July of 1545, the French, having launched an attack and arriving with their fleet in the Solent waters, our fleet was becalmed. Aye, and the French drew nearer and nearer. But then God did smile upon us, and the wind did rise, and our ships were able to put to sea. Indeed, the counterattack, as I've already said, as I have already alluded, was led by none other than the Mary Rose. I, standing atop of Southsea Castle, did see the action spread out before me as our good English ships did head forth towards the advancing French. The sea was heavy, the wind was indeed up, and thence, early in the action, the great Mary Rose did heave to in the wind and the heavy sea. The ship did heel over. And then, by the few accounts that do exist, the ship did begin to take in water. For 'tis said that the lower gun ports were open. And as the ship did heave to, now some 700 tons, as this great ship did heave to, and then did heel in the sea because of the wind, the water was taken in. The fate of the Mary Rose was sealed. It quickly began to sink. It capsized. Some 400 and more souls upon the vessel, those in the lower decks, those manning the guns, those fetching the powder and the ball from the holds, would not have been able to escape. Those who were able to make their way to the deck would not be able to escape. For stretched across the entire length and the entire width of the vessel were those great nets intended to prevent the ship being boarded by our enemies, the French. And that which was intended to protect the ship and the crew became a final barrier. Many hundreds of men, able to see safety, the sky, but unable to escape. The ship did sink in what seemed a matter of seconds. It is only those fortunate fellows atop the castle, the fore and the aft, atop the masts, who were able to save themselves. Of in excess of 400 souls, all but 35 were lost. They did sink to the bottom of the sea. I, atop Southsea Castle, did see my great ship, the Mary Rose, disappear beneath the waves. I did hear the cries and the screams of those poor souls as they did descend to their watery grave. I can still hear it. I am a man who is no stranger to war. I am a man who has seen battle. I have seen death. But to hear the pitiful cries of those poor souls, unable to save of themselves, it does still ring in my ears. Some days after, I did give orders for the ship to be raised, for such a great vessel, possessed of so many fine pieces of ordnance and such like, should not decay at the bottom of the sea. The Duke of Suffolk, Brandon, Charles, my friend, my former brother-in-law, indeed, he had been married to my sister Mary. I did give him instructions to raise the Mary Rose. 'Tis a complex operation. You do have two great barges that anchor either side of the wreck. Above. Thence, swimmers, divers are sent down below, for the ship is in not too deep a water. They do attach hawsers, great strong ropes and chains, to the ship, and then, by the pulling of capstans above, they raise the ship. They sail to a shallower part of the sea, where that wreck beneath the water does again run aground. Then they haul again, they haul again, they wait for the tide to rise, they move further and further and further, until that great vessel can be salvaged. All attempts to salvage the Mary Rose did fail, stuck deep in the mud of the Solent. There, the great ship, the Mary Rose, does rest, with nigh on 400 souls deposited within it. And thus, my loyal subjects, on this coming 19th of July, be pleased to spare a thought for the poor souls who met their Maker by the sinking of the Mary Rose. May God bless them all. May God keep them all, for they did die in the service of England. And may God bless and keep you all, my most loyal and well-beloved subjects. Thank you for watching my video. If you have not already subscribed, then please subscribe below and click the bell if you wish to be advised of new videos. And please don't forget to like this video and to leave a comment below.